Good morning, everyone. Please, everyone be seated. We have an interesting case before us today. Let me tell you, in all my years on this bench, and I've been doing this for a very long time, I've seen just about everything you can imagine. But every once in a while, a case comes through these doors that reminds me why I still come to work every single day. Now, before we begin, I want to make something very clear. This courtroom is a place of respect. It's a place where we seek justice, yes, but we do it with dignity, we do it with compassion, and we do it with fairness. I don't care if you're rich, I don't care if you're poor, I don't care what your last name is or who your father is. In this courtroom, everyone is equal under the law. That's how it works. That's how it should work. And that's how it will always work, as long as I'm sitting in this chair. So let's talk about why we're here today. The defendant before me is a young woman, 23 years old. Her name is Madison Elizabeth Thornton, born March 12th, 2001, currently residing at 1847 Blackstone Boulevard in the east side of Providence. She's the daughter of Robert Thornton, the CEO of Thornton Industries, one of the largest real estate development companies in Rhode Island with a valuation of over $400 million. But what matters more than her name or her father's position is what she did. And let me tell you what she did, because this isn't just about breaking the law. This is about something much deeper than that. 3 months ago, on August 15th, 2024, at approximately 4:30 in the afternoon, this young woman was driving her vehicle, a 2024 Range Rover Sport, white in color, Rhode Island license plate TH4582, worth over $120,000. And she was driving it recklessly through the Elmwood neighborhood here in Providence. Not just speeding, mind you. We're talking about going 70 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, 70, on Cranston Street between Haskins Avenue and Broad Street, a residential area where children play, where families walk their dogs, where elderly people cross the street to get their mail. But it gets worse, much worse, because when she was pulled over by Officer Daniel Martinez, badge number 347, 18-year veteran of the Providence Police Department, at the intersection of Cranston Street and Haskins Avenue, she didn't show remorse. She didn't show concern. She didn't even show basic human decency. According to the police report in front of me, case number PR20240845882, and I'm reading this verbatim. When Officer Martinez approached her vehicle at 4:37 p.m. and asked her if she knew why she was being pulled over, her exact words were, and I quote, "Do you know who my father is? He owns half the city. I can have your badge by tomorrow morning." Now, I got to be honest with you. When I read that, I had to put these papers down and take a moment, because those words, those arrogant, dismissive, disrespectful words, they tell me everything I need to know about what we're dealing with here. This isn't just about speeding. This is about someone who believes that money, that privilege, that their family name puts them above the law, above consequences, above basic human decency. But let me continue, because the story doesn't end there. Officer Martinez, being the professional that he is, remained calm. He explained to her the serious nature of her violation. He explained that she was endangering lives. And do you know what she did? She laughed. She actually laughed in his face. Then she took out her iPhone and started recording him, saying she was going to make him famous for all the wrong reasons.
And there it is: age, address, luxury vehicle, and a $400 million family name. Courts do this intentionally. They're putting privilege on the record before tearing it apart. This case isn't about who she is, it's about whether money bends justice.
Now, Officer Martinez could have escalated that situation. He could have let his emotions get the better of him, but he didn't. He remained professional. He issued her 3 citations at 4:49 p.m. Citation numbers 24 to 8,847, 24 to 8,848, and 24 to 8,849 for reckless driving, excessive speeding, and creating a public hazard. and he documented everything properly. That's what good police work looks like. But here's where this case takes an even more disturbing turn. After she received her citations, she posted on her Instagram account, username Madison_Thornton, which has over 47,000 followers. And these posts have been submitted as evidence Exhibit C through Exhibit G. She posted videos mocking Officer Martinez. She made fun of him. She called him names including rent a cop and power tripping nobody. She used her platform to try to humiliate a public servant who was simply doing his job. These posts were made on August 15th at 6:22 p.m. and August 16th at 10:15 a.m. One video alone received over 12,000 views within 24 hours. And then, and this is what really troubles me, 3 days later on August 18th, 2024 at 2:15 in the afternoon, she was caught on a Ring doorbell camera belonging to Mr. and Mrs. Richard Coleman at 247 Haskins Avenue in the same Elmwood neighborhood, driving recklessly again. Same white Range Rover, license plate TH4582. The video timestamp shows 2:15 p.m. Same behavior, same disregard for human life, same arrogance, as if that citation, as if that warning, as if the law itself meant nothing to her. You see, I've been doing this job for 32 years. Since 1992, I've sat in this chair in the Providence Municipal Court, and I've seen teenagers make stupid mistakes. I've seen young people who made bad choices but showed genuine remorse. I've seen people who came from difficult circumstances who made errors in judgment. And you know what? In many of those cases, I've shown mercy. I've given second chances. I've reduced sentences. I've offered community service instead of jail time, because I believe in redemption. I believe people can change. I believe in the power of compassion, but I also believe in accountability. I believe that actions have consequences. And I believe that when someone shows a pattern of behavior that demonstrates a complete and total disregard for the safety of others, for the law, and for basic human respect, well, then this court has an obligation to protect the community, an obligation to send a message that no one, and I mean no one, is above the law. Now, let me talk about something else that's been brought to my attention. The defendant's father, Robert Thornton, CEO of Thornton Industries, a company that owns 17 commercial properties in downtown Providence, 12 residential developments across Rhode Island, and employs over 230 people. He's been trying to use his influence to make this case go away. Between August 20th and September 5th, I personally received 7 phone calls to my chambers. I've received 4 written letters. I've had 3 different people come to my office, including City Councilman James Patterson from Ward 3, Attorney Michael Breslin from the firm of Breslin and Associates on Westminster Street, and even Samuel Rodriguez, president of the Providence Chamber of Commerce, all suggesting that maybe we should work something out, that maybe his daughter has learned her lesson, that maybe a substantial donation to the Providence Youth Foundation or the Police Benevolent Association, they mentioned amounts between $50,000 and $75,000 might be appropriate. Let me be crystal clear about something. I don't care how much money someone has. I don't care how many buildings they own or how many people they employ. I don't care if they're willing to donate $50,000 or $500,000. Money does not buy justice in this courtroom. Influence does not buy a pass on consequences. And no amount of donations or deals or backroom arrangements will change what happens here today, November 27th, 2024, at 10:15 in the morning. Because here's what I think about when I look at this case. I think about the families in that Elmwood neighborhood. I think about the parents who heard a car roaring down Cranston Street at 70 miles per hour and felt their hearts stop, wondering if their child was playing outside. I think about 72-year-old Mrs. Dorothy Henderson and her husband Frank, 74, both retired teachers from Hope High School who taught for 35 and 38 years respectively, who were crossing the street to visit their neighbor Margaret Sullivan at 289 Cranston Street on August 15th at 4:33 p.m. and had to jump back onto the curb because Madison Thornton couldn't be bothered to slow down. I Think about all the young people out there who are watching cases like this, who are seeing whether the justice system works the same for everyone or whether it's different if you have money, whether it's different if your father makes phone calls, whether it's different if you can afford expensive lawyers and try to intimidate police officers. And I'll tell you something else I think about. I think about what could have happened. We're very fortunate, and I mean very fortunate, that no one was hurt in these incidents. But what if there had been, what if 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez had been playing in a front yard at 241 Cranston Street? What if 59-year-old Mr. Thomas Chen, a postal worker for 22 years, had been getting his mail at 2:15 that afternoon? What if Mrs. Henderson had been taking her daily 3 o'clock walk that she's been doing for the past 10 years? You know, I have grandchildren, 7 beautiful grandchildren, ages ranging from 6 to 16. My youngest granddaughter, Sophia Marie Caprio, is 6 years old, born June 8th, 2018. And when I think about her playing in a neighborhood, when I think about her being outside enjoying a sunny day, and when I think about someone like Madison Thornton driving 70 miles per hour through that neighborhood with complete disregard for her safety, it makes my blood run cold. It makes me realize that we're not just talking about traffic violations here. We're talking about potential tragedy. We're talking about lives that could have been lost. Now, let me read to you what the prosecutor has recommended. Assistant District Attorney Sarah Chen, who has been with the Providence District Attorney's Office for 9 years and has handled over 327 traffic cases with a conviction rate of 89%, is asking for a substantial fine of $10,000, a 2-year license suspension, 150 hours of mandatory community service, and a jail sentence of 90 days to drive home the seriousness of these offenses. The defense attorney, Attorney Jennifer Morrison from Morrison Legal Group on North Main Street, and she's a good attorney. She's been practicing criminal defense law for 15 years, graduated from Roger Williams Law School in 2009. She's done her job well, is asking for leniency. She's pointing out that Madison Thornton has no prior criminal record. She's suggesting that a fine of $3,000 and 80 hours of community service would be sufficient. She's also mentioned that her client is young, that she graduated from Moses Brown School in 2019 and Boston University in 2023 with a degree in marketing and communications, and that a harsh sentence could damage her future career prospects. I've listened to both arguments. I've reviewed all the evidence. I've read the police reports. I've looked at the social media posts, specifically the Instagram posts from August 15th at 6:22 p.m. and August 16th at 10:15 a.m., where Madison Thornton posted videos with captions including, "Got pulled over by the most pathetic cop ever. And seriously, this guy thinks he can mess with me?" I've watched the Ring doorbell footage from August 18th at 2:15 p.m., showing her vehicle traveling at excessive speeds. I've considered the defendant's age, 23 years old. I've considered her background. I've considered everything that should be considered in a case like this. But I keep coming back to something fundamental, something that I think gets lost sometimes in our legal system. We have laws for a reason. We have speed limits for a reason. We have consequences for breaking those laws for a reason. And the reason is simple: to protect people, to keep our communities safe, to ensure that everyone can live without fear of someone's reckless behavior destroying their lives. You know what troubles me most about this case? It's not even the speeding, as serious as that is. It's not even the reckless endangerment. It's the attitude. It's the arrogance. It's the complete lack of understanding that her actions affect other people with real families and real lives. When I look at the evidence in this case, when I read that police report from August 15th, when I see those social media posts from her Instagram account, when I watch that Ring doorbell footage from August 18th, I see someone who has been taught, maybe not explicitly, but through experience, that consequences don't apply to them, that they can do what they want, that their family name or their father's money will always bail them out.
Here's the modern-day courtroom twist. Instagram becomes Exhibit C. Mocking a police officer online doesn't just look bad legally, it proves lack of remorse and pattern of behavior. Reminder for viewers, what you post can and will be used against you.
Well, not today. Not in this courtroom. Not on my watch. I want to explain something about sentencing. When a judge sentences someone, we're not trying to be cruel. We're not trying to destroy lives. We're trying to do several things at once. First, we're trying to punish the wrongdoing. Yes, punishment is part of justice. Second, we're trying to deter that person from doing it again. Third, we're trying to send a message to others who might be watching that this behavior won't be tolerated. And fourth, and this is important, we're trying to protect the community. In most cases, I can balance these goals with a sentence that's firm but merciful, a sentence that punishes but also offers a path to redemption. But in this case, we have multiple violations on August 15th and August 18th. We have a complete lack of remorse. We have attempted intimidation of Officer Daniel Martinez. We have public mockery of law enforcement through social media posts viewed by over 12,000 people. And most troubling of all, we have a repeat offense just 3 days after the first incident. This tells me that the defendant either doesn't understand the seriousness of what she's done, or she understands it perfectly well and simply doesn't care. Either way, it tells me that anything less than a serious consequence would be a failure of this court's duty to protect the public. Now, I want to address something directly. There are people who will watch what happens here today, and they will say, Judge Caprio is being too harsh. He's known for being compassionate. He's known for giving people breaks. Why is he being so tough in this case? And my answer is simple. Compassion without accountability isn't compassion at all. It's enabling. When I give someone a break, when I reduce a sentence, when I show mercy, it's because I see genuine remorse. It's because I see someone who understands what they did wrong and wants to make it right. It's because I see someone who made a mistake but isn't defined by that mistake. But I don't see any of that here. What I see is someone who thinks she's untouchable. What I see is someone who has shown through her actions on August 15th and August 18th, and through her words to Officer Martinez and in her social media posts, that she has learned nothing from this experience, except maybe that she needs better lawyers next time. And let me tell you something else. The defense attorney, Attorney Morrison, mentioned that the defendant has no prior criminal record. That's true. Madison Thornton has never been arrested before, never been convicted of any crime, and normally that would weigh heavily in favor of leniency. But you know what? Most 23-year-olds don't have criminal records. That's not special. That's the bare minimum of being a law-abiding citizen. We don't give out awards for not breaking the law up until now. I also want to address the argument that she's young, that she's only 23 years old, born in 2001, that she's still learning, that we should give her a chance to grow. And look, I understand that argument. I really do. Young people make mistakes. Their brains are still developing. They don't always think about consequences the way adults do. I get all of that. But here's the thing. At 23 years old, you're old enough to vote. You've been able to vote since you were 18. You're old enough to serve in the military. You're old enough to sign contracts. You're old enough to get married. And you're certainly old enough to know that driving 70 miles per hour in a 25 zone is dangerous. You're old enough to know that threatening a police officer is wrong. You're old enough to know that mocking someone on social media with 47,000 followers watching is cruel. And you're certainly old enough to know that when you get caught doing something wrong on August 15th, you don't double down and do it again 3 days later on August 18th. This isn't about a young person making an innocent mistake. This is about someone who has been raised to believe that rules don't apply to them. And unless this court intervenes, unless we send a clear and unmistakable message right now, I fear what might happen next time, because there will be a next time. People with this attitude, with this level of arrogance, they don't stop until something forces them to stop. I've been thinking a lot about what justice looks like in this case. And I've come to a conclusion. Justice isn't just about punishing Madison Thornton. It's about protecting future victims. It's about sending a message to every other entitled young person out there who thinks their family name puts them above the law. It's about vindicating Officer Daniel Martinez, badge number 347, who was just doing his job on August 15th at 4:37 p.m. and was subjected to abuse and humiliation for it. And it's about restoring faith in our system, faith that maybe has been shaken by too many cases, where wealthy defendants walk away with a slap on the wrist. So here's what I've decided, and I want you to understand that I've given this a lot of thought. I've considered every factor. I've weighed every argument from both Assistant District Attorney Sarah Chen and Attorney Jennifer Morrison, and I've prayed on it because decisions like this aren't easy, even when they're necessary. On the charge of reckless driving from August 15th, 2024, citation number 24 to 8,847, I'm sentencing you to the maximum penalty allowed under Rhode Island General Law 11-9-1. That's 90 days in the adult correctional institutions, the state prison on Howard Avenue here in Cranston. On the charge of attempting to intimidate a law enforcement officer under Rhode Island General Law 11-37-7, I'm adding another 60 days to be served consecutively, not concurrently. On the additional charge of reckless driving from the second incident on August 18th, 2024, as documented by the Ring doorbell camera at 247 Haskins Avenue, that's another 90 days, also consecutive. That's a total of 240 days. 8 months. You will serve this time at the Women's Division of the Adult Correctional Institutions, and I'm ordering that there be no early release under the good behavior provisions, no work release program, and no special privileges or accommodations. You'll serve your time. Like everyone else who sits in that facility, your reporting date will be December 2nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. In addition, I'm imposing a fine of $15,000 to be paid in full within 60 days of today's date by January 26th, 2025. And before anyone says that's too much or too little, let me explain. That money will be divided equally into 3 parts. $5,000 will go to the Rhode Island Victims of Reckless Driving Fund. $5,000 will go to the Providence Public Schools Safe Streets Education Program. And $5,000 will go to support the Providence Police Department's community outreach and training programs. I'm also suspending your driver's license, Rhode Island license number T5847239, for 3 years. Not 1 year, not 2 years, 3 full years, beginning today, November 27th, 2024, and ending November 27th, 2027. And when those 3 years are up, you will be required to retake both the written examination and the practical road test administered by the Rhode Island Division of Motor Vehicles. You will be required to complete a comprehensive driver safety course, minimum 30 hours.
This is the moment the courtroom freezes. Not probation. Not house arrest. Real prison time. The message is crystal clear: privilege doesn't soften consequences, it can harden them. Final question for viewers: do you think this sentence was justice, or a warning to everyone watching?
Hours of instruction, and you will be required to perform 200 hours of community service, specifically working with Mothers Against Drunk Driving Rhode Island chapter, or with families of traffic accident victims at Rhode Island Hospital's Trauma Center, so you can see firsthand the real consequences of reckless driving. Furthermore, I'm ordering that you be prohibited from operating any motor vehicle, even with someone else's permission, during the entire period of your license suspension from November 27th, 2024 through November 27th, 2027. If you're caught driving during this time, if Officer Martinez or any other officer pulls you over, you will face additional criminal charges under Rhode Island General Law 31-11-18, and you will face a minimum of an additional 1 year of jail time, no exceptions. Now, I can see the shock on faces in this courtroom. Some of you probably think I'm being too harsh. Some of you probably think I'm not being harsh enough. But let me tell you why I've made this decision today here in courtroom 3A of the Providence Municipal Court. Madison Thornton needs to understand that her actions have consequences, real consequences, not consequences that her father, Robert Thornton's $400 million company, can make go away, not consequences that her lawyers from Morrison Legal Group can negotiate into nothing, real tangible consequences that will affect her life. 8 months in the women's division at the ACI is a long time. It's long enough to think. It's long enough to understand what you've done. It's long enough to hopefully emerge as a changed person. But it's not so long that it destroys someone's life. She'll be out by August of 2025. She'll still be 24 years old. She'll still have her whole life ahead of her. She can still go to school. She can still build a career. She can still become a productive member of society. But she needed to learn this lesson, and she needed to learn it now before her arrogance and recklessness killed someone. Because make no mistake, that's where this was heading. It was only a matter of time before her behavior resulted in tragedy. And I would rather have her sit in the women's division for 8 months being angry at me than have her spend the rest of her life living with the fact that she killed 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez or 72-year-old Dorothy Henderson because she thought she was too important to follow the rules. The 3-year license suspension from November 2024 through November 2027 is designed to be meaningful in our society, especially in Rhode Island where public transportation is limited. Driving is a privilege we often take for granted. But it's not a right, it's a privilege that comes with responsibility. And when someone abuses that privilege as egregiously as Madison Thornton has, they need to lose it for a significant period of time. As for the $15,000 fine due January 26, 2025, and the 200 hours of community service, those are designed to ensure that something positive comes from this negative situation. That money will help people who have been affected by reckless driving. That community service will, I hope, open her eyes to the real human cost of behavior like hers when she works with trauma victims at Rhode Island Hospital or with Mad D families. Now, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say that I'm making an example of her because of who her father is, because Robert Thornton is the CEO of Thornton Industries. And you know what? They're partially right.
One reckless driver. One powerful family. One judge unwilling to bend. This wasn't just a sentencing, it was a statement. And whether you agree or not, one thing is undeniable. The law spoke loudly today.
I am making an example, but not because of who her father is. I'm making an example because of who she chose to be, because of the arrogance she displayed on August 15th at 4:37 p.m., because of the contempt she showed for Officer Daniel Martinez, because of the danger she posed to innocent people on Cranston Street and Haskins Avenue, because of those Instagram posts to her 47,000 followers. If this had been a first offense, if she had shown remorse on August 15th, if she had apologized to Officer Martinez, if she hadn't posted those videos mocking him on August 15th at 6:22 p.m. and August 16th at 10:15 a.m., if she hadn't gone out and done it again on August 18th at 2:15 p.m., well, then we'd be having a very different conversation right now. I probably would have given her a fine of maybe $2,000 or $3,000, some community service of 50 or 60 hours, maybe a 6-month license suspension, and sent her on her way with a stern warning. But that's not what happened. What happened was a display of arrogance and entitlement that frankly disgusts me. And I've been doing this job since 1992, 32 years, and I've been doing this too long to pretend that a slap on the wrist is going to change that attitude. Sometimes people need to face real consequences to understand that their actions matter. I want to say something to the parents who are watching this case, whether you're here in Providence or watching this on YouTube later or reading about it in the Providence Journal tomorrow. To the fathers and mothers out there who have children, whether they're young or grown, please, please teach your children that everyone deserves respect, that police officers like Officer Martinez are people doing a difficult job, that laws exist to protect us all, that money and status don't make you better than anyone else, that actions have consequences. Because if you don't teach your children these lessons, if you let them grow up thinking they're above it all, thinking that your money or influence will always protect them, well, then you're failing them. You're setting them up for a very hard fall. And when that fall comes, when they're standing in a courtroom like this one, courtroom 3A at 25 Dorrance Street in Providence, facing a judge like me on a day like today, November 27th, 2024, it's going to be too late to undo all those years of bad lessons. I don't know what kind of parenting led to the behavior I've seen in this case from Madison Elizabeth Thornton. I'm not here to judge Robert and Patricia Thornton's parenting, but I will say this. If my child had behaved the way this defendant behaved on August 15th and August 18th, if they had spoken to Officer Martinez the way she did, if they had posted those Instagram videos, I would be ashamed, I would be heartbroken, and I would absolutely support any consequence that might help them become a better person. Now, before I close, I want to say something. Madison Thornton, you're 23 years old, born March 12, 2001. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. This doesn't have to define you. 8 months from now, around August of 2025, you can walk out of the women's division of the ACI and you can make a choice. You can choose to be bitter. You can choose to be angry. You can choose to blame me or the system or Officer Martinez or anyone else. Or you can choose to learn from this. You can choose to understand that you were wrong on August 15th and August 18th. You can choose to become a better person. You can choose to use this experience at the adult correctional institutions to develop empathy, humility, and respect for others. You can choose to spend the rest of your life making sure that no one else ever has to go through what could have happened because of your recklessness on Cranston Street. I hope you make the right choice. I really do. Because I don't want to see you back in this courtroom in 5 years in 2029 or 10 years in 2034 facing even more serious charges. I don't want to read in the Providence Journal someday that you finally did cause that accident, that you finally did hurt someone. I want to believe that you can change, that you will change. But that change has to start with accountability. It has to start with accepting that what you did on August 15th at 4:30 p.m. and August 18th at 2:15 p.m. was wrong. It has to start with understanding that this sentence, 8 months in the ACI, 3 years without a license, $15,000, 200 hours of community service, isn't about me being mean or harsh or unfair. It's about justice. It's about protecting the community of Providence, Rhode Island. And yes, it's about giving you a wake-up call that might just save your life or someone else's. Now you have the right to appeal this sentence to the Rhode Island Superior Court within 30 days of today, November 27, 2024. Attorney Jennifer Morrison will explain that process to you. But I want you to know that I've been very careful in crafting this sentence to be within the bounds of Rhode Island general law and appropriate to the offenses documented in case number PR 20240845882. I'm confident that it will withstand any appeal. I also want to say something to Officer Daniel Martinez, badge number 347, who I see is here in the courtroom today. Officer Martinez, thank you for your service to the Providence Police Department for 18 years. Thank you for your professionalism in handling a difficult situation on August 15th at 4:37 p.m. on Cranston Street. Thank you for not letting Madison Thornton's behavior provoke you into doing anything that would have compromised your integrity. You are exactly the kind of police officer we need in this community, and I want you to know that this court, the Providence Municipal Court, appreciates you. To everyone else in this courtroom, whether you're from Providence, from Rhode Island, or from somewhere else watching this case, I hope this serves as a reminder. The law applies to everyone. Justice is blind to wealth, to status, to family connections. In this courtroom at 25 Dorrance Street, we treat everyone with respect, but we also hold everyone accountable. If you're a young person watching this, whether you're 23 like Madison or younger or older, learn from it. Understand that your actions matter, that the choices you make have consequences, that no amount of money or privilege will protect you if you endanger others. If you're a parent, use this as a teaching moment. Talk to your children about responsibility, about respect, about the kind of person they want to be in this world. And if you're someone who's been given advantages in life, wealth, opportunity, privilege, whether you're the child of a CEO like Robert Thornton or anyone else, remember that. Those advantages come with responsibilities. They're not a license to treat others poorly. They're not a shield against consequences. If anything, they should make you more aware of your obligations to your community and to society. This court is adjourned. The defendant, Madison Elizabeth Thornton, will be remanded into custody immediately to begin serving her sentence at the Adult Correctional Institution's Women's Division. Reporting date, December 2nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. The fine of $15,000 is due by January 26th, 2025. The license suspension is effective immediately and runs through November 27th, 2027. Bailiff, please proceed.